Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as HeSpeed. I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time I'm looking at One Piece, Chapter 739, Captain. Or if this was Dead Poets Society, Captain My Captain. And in the last chapter, the feces really hit the oscillating blades as Trebol has figured out what's going on and basically goes berserker barrage and throws that ship into the tower so he can get back to Sugar ASAP. And man, that ship's masthead looks like one of those toilet training ducks. And he basically oozes all of the little fairies, and he interrogates Leo, who is kind of a dumbass, proving that these fairies pretty much believe anything that anybody tells them. And so he finds out that Usopp is there, and that Mr. Soldier is there. And then once that happens, we find out that his Ikigu is flammable, and he basically sets all the little fairies on fire, which, if you didn't already realize, this dude was not only disgusting, but kind of evil. Pachum. And so, obviously, they know about Mr. Soldier, and he is, on their most wanted list. And so, but, if nothing else, I think it's important to note that at least Robin and Usopp are generally unharmed. So we've kind of seen what Trebol and Sugar can do. So Robin and Usopp didn't have to take a pounding to learn that. So now they can kind of think up some strategies. Once again, them being kind of the more squishy characters, that's probably better for them, because they're going to take some damage in the process. So better for them to go into battle forewarned and forearmed, because these guys are pretty tough. So, but at the same time, we see that old martial arts guy is totally wrecking, Mr. Soldier, and the fairies along with him are, supporting him. And he thinks back to his, the beginning of the day, where we find out he was fighting with Rebecca, who's all super angry that she doesn't believe in the SOP plan, and she just plans to, get her freedom and get that devil fruit by winning the tournament. And Mr. Soldier's like, you can't win. And she's like, well, there's no other way to win the way the system is set up now. So this is, some kind of hope. And, they basically part yelling at each other. And, Rebecca regrets, yelling at him, because really she just didn't want him to go through with the plan, because she didn't think it could work. And then we flash to the arena, where, man, I knew she was going to be super effective, but man, she just goes after Diamante, and he's like, yeah, your sword is like blunt. The only person shedding blood in this arena is going to be you. And he basically whacks her, and mysterious person who no one could ever figure out who he is, aka Sabo, is like, man, if it is not Sabo, I'm going to be like, alright, you got me. But it's Sabo. So, until I'm proven wrong, Sabo's all like, Bartholomew, protect Rebecca. I'm going to go for this. And, man, but this is really a Rebecca and Mr. Soldier chapter. So, him, us not finding out who, mysterious Lucy, Lucy Mark II is pretty good. I mean, that's got to be its own kind of chapter reveal. I mean, we get an important chapter reveal, later on in this chapter. So I really didn't expect any kind of, Lucy reveal, but he's obviously, basically, you two stand over there. This is gonna get real. But we don't see how it gets real. And then, once, the two Flamingo people go away, Usopp goes and, interrogates Leo, and he's like, why does everybody believe in this Mr. Soldier guy? I mean, he's cool and all, but he's really just a toy with one leg. And you guys seem super, he's the only guy who can pull this off. And we find out that he's, the first person to be turned into a toy on this island. And he's the only toy who has free will and all his memories. Because Sugar forgot to, bind him to a contract, or somehow he got out of that, being able to be contracted. And so he's kind of like this key point of the rebellion. And then we find out, he's also the famous gladiator from the Colosseum. And then, the minute we saw that statue, when we had that, big rundown of who that guy was, you knew that that guy had to be important, that he was going to come up again, because there was no way they put that much backstory and legend into that statue and who that guy was, and then not ever have that guy come up again, especially since people turned into toys and look completely different. So this isn't super surprising, but it's good finally, and there you go. This is Mr. Soldier's identity. This is why he's important. This is why, he kind of has a grudge, but is this awesome fighter. So we know all that right now. But yeah, this is mostly the emotional gut punch chapter. Just, heartstring drawing event after heartstring drawing event. Because, we have, the fight between Rebecca and Mr. Soldier. We have Mr. Soldier getting beat up and everybody still supporting him, and him not giving up in the face of superior kung fu. We've got the revelation of who Mr. Soldier is, the fight in the arena, Rebecca being helpless and Lucy being like, no, I got this, bros. So, a lot of big things. Obviously, Mr. Soldier can't take out Don Flamingo. That's a Luffy thing. Man, it would be really surprising if actually Mr. Soldier took him out. But it's obviously going to be a Luffy thing. Where, he's going to be the guy who gets really close. Finally does some damage on Don Flamingo, but doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's kind of a One Piece staple. But, yeah. And, oh man, I totally forgot to mention this, but Diamante, I was like, I know that this guy looks like somebody. And I finally, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, I finally saw that on Twitter. And I'm like, yes, that's who he is. That's who he's based on. Thank you, random person on Twitter. Thank you very much. Now I can finally be and it won't bug me about I know he's a singer from somewhere. Although, I could have just asked Twitter. I don't know why I didn't. But yes, Diamante is obviously based on Steven Tyler. Doon, 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 doon. So, we're really kind of invested now in seeing Treble and Sugar go down. Like I said, I feel like this or the fight in the arena. Definitely now this is kind of the more important thing. Maybe actually now that I think about it, this Kung Fu guy getting beat by Mr. Soldier might be the most important thing to get done. I'm kind of curious once again who they get. I'm always curious who they jump to next. Like, are they gonna stay with this? Are they gonna jump back to, Zoro and Luffy and the castle guy? I don't know, but whichever fight they go to, it's gonna be cool. So we'll see that next week. All right, see you guys then.